Good afternoon, everyone. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professionals IGP Bangladesh. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professionals IGP Bangladesh. Thank you all for joining us and staying with us till the end. Honorable knowledge seekers today for the afternoon. My name is Oritra Boshak and I am from Bangladesh. Dear IGP Knowledge Seekers, I am proud to be associated with IGP as a global member. IGP is a ISO certified international training institute. In 3 years, we already served 3 million knowledge seekers and 100 plus countries. IGP is internationally recognized and globally accredited. Connected to more than 250 plus professions and 4,500 plus organizations. Institute of Global Professionals IGP is the training faculty for skill development, which was founded in 2020 generating competent candidates to meet demand in the global labor by market by providing social professionals qualifications. Global Professionals is an educational institute that provides social work globally recognized and reputable. We serve students and community resource providing holistic social work. We believe that it's not effective to increase one's skill just by acquiring formal education, so we provide effective training and consulting to generate proficiency all over the world. We distribute our service locally, nationally, and internationally to job seekers, job holders, and also for learners. Though respect and distance learning platform, we are an occupational and dependable institution. IGP is one of the most famous online institutes from all over the world. Our vision is education is not a business product, it's a human rights. Based on our vision, we are trying to reach all corners of the world for free webinars, seminars, courses, awards, quiz competition, mentoring, and counseling, etc. On the other side, we are also trying to serve more than 100 premium free like create own portfolio website, resume builder, cover letter, motivation letter, and world knowledge platform for gathering general knowledge, which can update all day. Kids learning games, website, free courses, converts, and more. We help to empower to learn to meet their expectations and dreams and become highly skilled people. We implement several webinars and offline online courses for youth and learners by formal trainers, speakers, and coaches, and are conducted by globally renowned and professionals to develop all kinds of youth and to promote the education of their abilities and personalities. To ensure excellent, in-depth guidance with qualified trainers, speakers, and instructors. We extended free service to more than 3 million knowledge seekers in the last 3 years. We have affiliations with universities and organizations in countries. Virtual mouse signing with many colleges and organizations have been accomplished. We are working create a legendary generation of future scholars and citizens who will be constantly prepared to assist all knowledge seekers in the valuable service. Spreading knowledge is crucial for the Institute of Global Professionals that knowledge is love, light, and vision. So we try to understand the needs of today's generation and will serve them good research and we must have a genuine concern for a learners. We represent more diversity, growth, and innovation, and required to lead a session with professional integrity. IGP members are committed to offering effective based quality service and continual improvement so that individual formation can improve their skill levels and values. Before we move to the next, let me remind don't forget to share, tag, and mention your friend in the comment box. Your support is valuable to us. Thank you. Before we move to the next, let me remind don't forget to share, tag, and mention your friend in the comment box. Your support to us. Thank you. Moving to the next, with your continuous support, we already completed 1,300 webinars successfully. Wow. Moving to the next, with your continuous support, we already completed 100 webinars successfully. Wow. At present, we are going to start our 1,301 program. Name is the directive in technical education. And our today's speaker name is Sir John Kenneth Jas. Before I hand over the stage to Sir, want to share a little bit about our speaker. He is an City, Valenzuela City Polytechnical College instructor. Now, very important moment for me to invite to IGP with his presentation. Now, very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP with his presentation. Hello,
Hello, good
sir.
afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for the introduction. Okay, so let me
Good
proceed.
afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm good. I feel good. I feel great today. And I hope that our viewers also feel great today.
Sir, on behalf of IGP Knowledge Seekers, please want to hear about you, sir.
Okay, so I am Mr. John Kenneth C. Goyal, and I am currently an instructor at Valenzuela City Polytechnic College, and I am handling both the professional education subjects and also the technical education subject. And one of my advocacy is to spread the the technical education not only in our country but also in the world through this kind of platform. That's why my topic for today would be the WEEE directives in the technical education, because I believe that it is not just about the skills on how to repair, disassemble, or assemble appliances, but also from manufacturing to disposal. We need to teach that to our students.
Thank you, sir, for your introduction.
Okay.
Sir, now stage is your. Please, you can start your presentation.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you, sir.
And great afternoon again to each and every one of you. Good morning, good evening to all the viewers around the world. Our topic this afternoon is one of my is a part actually of my advocacy in technical education, which is the WEEE directives in technical education. These did not originated from our country, but in Europe, but we take this as our basis on how we are going to regulate the waste electronic and electrical equipment here in our country. And I know for a fact that most of our laws, our regulations are also based in these WEE directives of the European Union. Okay? And to formally begin our discussion this afternoon, let us define first again what is WEEE. The Technical Skills Development Authority in our country actually designed all the qualifications, especially the qualifications under the electronic and electrical sector, integrating the WEE directives in the teachings or in the training regulations. So you will see in the training regulation stipulated there that the WEE directives must be shared to all the technical learners. Why it is really important? Because we shouldn't just teach the students with necessary skills on how to assemble, disassemble, repair, or even maintain appliances or electronic and electrical equipment. But also, we also need to teach them on how we are going to dispose these appliances or this equipment properly. Because as we all know, um, not all people around the world knows how to dispose properly this kind of waste, and it poses uh hazard to human health, not only to human health but also in our environment, and we want that to be lessened for us to help our environment or mother earth to heal. Okay, so let's define what is WEEE. WEEE actually means waste electrical and electronic equipment. And WEE is actually a law have been in place for over a decade already. And yet the beginning of this law may be traced back in the mid 1990s when the European Union was considering forcing the electronic and electrical equipment producers to accept the responsibility for their trash. And later in the early 2000s in the EU proceeded to limit dangerous compounds in manufactured goods. So most of the manufactured goods contain harmful elements such as lead, mercury, and cadmium, which poses harm in human health and also in our environment. And at the same time, electricals also came under the spotlight, and the EU, the Waste Electronic and Electrical Directive, was created to hold manufacturers accountable for addressing the growing mountain of waste electricals. And the EU regulation on waste electrical and electronic equipment became European legislation in February 2003. It became a law, and it established collection, recycling, and recovery objectives for all forms of electrical and electronic equipment, starting with 4 kilograms of electricals per person per year. And the local authorities, or the WEE directive, was converted into national law in the United Kingdom. And from the year 2007, this rule mandated producers, the merchants, and local authorities to collect, process, and account for electrical trash. And it is not just in the United Kingdom; it is also in the whole Europe, wherein the life cycle of electrical equipment, from both the manufacturers down to the disposal, is currently governed by the European and state rules. But as I have mentioned a while ago, that most of the countries around the world have their own law or regulations on how they will regulate their waste electrical and electronic equipment. Like here in the Philippines, together with the RA, or the Republic Act 6969, which is known as the Toxic Substances and Hazardous and Nuclear Control Act, the WEEE, or the Waste Electronic and Electrical Equipment, was formerly classified as one of the categories of the DENR Administrative Order 2004, number 36. It is actually an administrative order that governed the categorization and handling of hazardous waste here in the Philippines. And this AO was updated in 2013, and the WEEE, which contains the toxic substances that I have mentioned a while ago. We have the lead, the mercury, the cadmium, and in addition to that, we have the hexavalent chromium and the flame retardants such as the polybrominated biphenyls and the polybrominated diphenyls, if you know those chemicals, was also specifically designated as a part of the hazardous waste that we have. So in terms of generation, in terms of transportation, treatment, storage, and disposal facilities of these hazardous waste, accompanied, of course, by or including the WEE. Later on, I will be telling you some of the categories of WEE must now register in the EMB. So when we say EMB, here in the Philippines, that is Environmental Management Bureau. handling the regulation of the facilities for the treatment of the WEE waste, and record and provide details of each movement of the waste. So applications for the registration of WEE, generations, transportation, and even the facilities of TSDs can be made online starting June 2020, as if I'm correct. And the DENR monitors the import and export also of the hazardous waste through regulatory procedures such as the permits and the license coming from the EMB. Okay, so that is the waste electrical and electronic equipment. It doesn't only pertains to the waste and electrical and electronic equipment around Europe, but also around the world. And I know that most of the countries around the world have their own regulations on how they will handle these waste electronic and electrical equipment from the manufacturing down to the disposal. And in addition to the definition of the WEEE, the electrical and electronic equipment refers to the devices that require electric currents or electromagnetic fields to function properly, or as well as those devices that generate, transfer, measure these currents and fields. And these devices must have a voltage of no more than 1,000 volts of alternating current or 1,500 volts of direct current. These are jargons for electrical and electronic practitioners. And of course, where there are also terms wherein we say WEEE from private household. And this means WEEE, which came from private household, and also those which came from the commercial, industrial, institutional, and other sources, in which, because of its nature and quantity, it is similar to that of the private households. And waste from EEE likely to be used by both private households and users other than the private household shall in any event be considered as the WEEE. So let's categorize what are these type of electronic and electrical equipment. In our terms in electronics, we say we commonly use the word electronically controlled domestic appliances, and most of the waste in electrical and electronic equipment came from the household appliances, and we can deny the fact because it is a booming industry. Okay, so let's categorize these electronics and electrical equipment from household. Number one is the large household appliances. So these are typically the bigger ones, and it includes our fridge, our refrigerators, even the cookers, the microwaves, washing machine, and even dishwashers, and many more. When we say small household appliances, it pertains to vacuum cleaners, your flat irons, your oven toasters or the bread toasters, and even the clocks, and many more. When you say IT and telecommunication equipment, of course, it includes your mobile phones. And as a trivia, here in the Philippines, the mobile phones, the waste on mobile phones contributes to the 32,664.41 tons of WEE generated in 2019. The mobile phones contributed to that in 44.7 tons. And almost 60 chemicals were found in mobile phones which are harmful to our environment and to human health. So let us be careful on how we properly dispose the mobile phones. And also it includes in IT and telecommunication, it also includes your laptops, your personal computers, your copying equipment, and even the packet calculators. For letter D, we have the consumer equipment, and this includes, of course, your radios, your televisions, your hi-fi equipment, camcorders, and even your musical instruments. And for lighting equipment, we also have this straight and compact fluorescent tubes, and even the high-intensity discharge lamps, and many more. And it also includes the electrical and electronic tools, or the tools which are powered, of course, by AC or even DC or direct currents, or these tools that are electronically controlled, such as the drills, your electronic saw, the sewing machines, and even the electric blow mowers. WEE also includes the toys, the leisures, and sports equipment, such as, of course, your electric cranes, the game consoles, and many more. It also includes the medical devices, such as, of course, your blood pressure monitoring, the digital blood pressure monitoring system, your dialysis machines, analyzers, medical freezers, and even the cardiology equipment. Monitoring and control equipment includes, of course, the smoke detectors that we install in our homes or in our workplace. We have the thermostats and even the heating regulators. Automatic dispensers, we know a lot of dispensers, such as, of course, the hot and the cold drink dispensers, and even the money dispensers are included here. So these are the categories which are included as part of the waste electronic and electrical equipment. And with this, of course, I would also like to share with you the the list of equipments which are not included in the WEEE as per stipulated in the Article 2 of the WEE directive. So these are the list of equipment which are not included in the WEEE. First, we have the equipment which is necessary for the protection of the essential interests of the security of the state, such as the firearms, the ammunitions, or the war materials. It also doesn't include the filament bulbs, the equipment designed to be sent in the space, okay, or those which are being used for, which is being sent to space, the large scale stationary industrial tools, even the large scale fixed installations. We have the transport, means of transport for person, and this exclude the two-wheel vehicles, which are not approved by the WE directives. Non-road mobile machinery made available to exclusively for professional use. The equipment is specifically designed solely for the purpose of research and development, and the medical devices and in vitro diagnostic medical devices, which or such devices are expected to be effective to the end of life, and active implantable medical devices. So those are not included in the WEEE directives. And as we know, all the categories of the WEEE in which are stipulated in the directives, what is really the purpose of these directives or these regulations? Why do we need to teach the students with this necessary information? Because when we are in the technical training, what is important in the eyes of the trainers are the skills for, let's say, for example, if they are in electronic field, are the skills and, of course, assembly and disassembly of appliances or even all the electronic equipments, and of course the troubleshooting techniques, repair and maintenance. But it doesn't enter because the end product of all of these are the proper disposal of the waste electronic and electrical equipment. And we need to open the eyes of the students about how to properly dispose these electronic and electrical appliances. And it is really disappointing to know that most of the people don't know how to properly dispose this kind of waste. What they do is, here in the Philippines, if, let's say, for example, the televisions is already stuck for how many years and it is not already functioning, they call some of those people who buy this kind of waste and put it in the junk shop. And some of the junk shop don't know how to properly treat this kind of waste. They throw this waste into the dump site, of course, and the dump site burn this kind of waste. And if this kind of waste will be burned, some of the chemicals will be spread through air and can be inhaled by human, which can pose harmful effects to human health, especially affecting the liver or some of our organs. And sometimes, if these waste are not properly disposed, it can be washed out by waters, and which leads to water pollution also. So that's why we need to teach our students with this kind of information. And the purpose or objective of the WEE, that's boiled down to the objectives. So the WEE directives aims to contribute to the sustainable production and consumption by number one, preventing the creation of WEE as a first priority. So we can't deny the fact that one of the booming industry is the industry on the creation or construction of electronically controlled appliances. And most of us are do have televisions at home. Most of us do have electric fans at home. We have cell phones, we have laptops, we have electric induction cookers, and many more. And we can not prevent the industries in creating this kind of products. But what we need to prevent is to have this kind of waste. That's why we need to teach each of us, or we need to practice proper waste segregation. And also, we need to segregate this kind of waste from the waste that we already know, such as the degradable, non-biodegradable, those who are recyclable, and of course, these electronic waste. Also, an objective of WEEE is contributing to the efficient use of resources and the retrieval of secondary raw materials through the reuse, recycling, and other forms of recovery. And some of the parts of the electronic appliances have been used for refurbishing and repair, and also improving the electro environmental performance of everyone involved in the life cycle of the EEE. And of course, one of the purpose actually of WE also is to institutionalize the principle of extended producer responsibility. But I think it is not just the responsibility of the producer, because they manufacture this kind of products. And it is also the utilization of these products actually ends in the hands of the consumers. And the consumers must also be responsible on how we are going to properly dispose. Yes, some of the producers have regulations on this one. As I can see, I bought a fridge last time, and upon reviewing the manual, it is included there at the back of the manual how to properly dispose this fridge if this is not already functioning. So we need to call the producers, and they will be the one to pick up this fridge, and they will be the one to shred it or to treat it so it can harm the environment and also the health of human. Okay, and it is also one of the purpose of the WEEE is to establish a framework for the proper management of this kind of waste to reduce the amount of the electronic and electrical equipment waste and the hazard that this pose, and especially the parts of this kind of products. And of course, it puts a demarcation between used and secondhand electrical and electronic equipment waste shall be made in a manner consistent with the Basel Convention technical guidelines. So most of the countries put some guidelines. Like in our country, we have the administrative order of the DENR and also the Republic Act 6969, which pertains to the toxic and hazardous and nuclear control waste act. So next, the objectives can never be achieved without the purpose of this WEEE. The WEEE must first requires the separate collection and the proper treatment of WEEE and set targets for their collection as well as for their recovery and recycling. There are a lot of recovery and recycling facilities for the WEEE. As I have visited some of them, what they do is They separate the parts of the WEEE. Let's say, for example, the plastics, those that do have metals, those do have ions, fluids, and many more. And once they found some harmful chemicals on this equipment, they remove first these chemicals before they shred the parts of the electronic equipment. And once it is already shredded, they will treat it, and of course they will use it for recycling purposes, on refurbishing purposes, and the chemicals will be treated properly. Helps European countries, or all the countries around the world, fight illegal waste exports more effectively by making it harder for exporters to disguise illegal shipment of WEEE, because it poses um, harm and hazard to human health and our environment. It also reduces the administrative burden by calling for the harmonization of the national EEE registers and of the reporting format. So, because we need regulation, the ENR, or the Environmental and National Resources, the department here in the Philippines, focuses on monitoring on how to treat this kind of waste. And of course, in this regard, as I've mentioned a while ago, the EMB, or the Environmental Monitoring Board of the DENR, is currently involved in the project implementation of the management of waste, and also the programs for electric cooperatives and safe e-waste management, which is funded by the Global Environmental Facility and the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, or what we call the UNIDO. And the Integrated Recycling Industries Incorporated has been offering technical training to local dismantlers and collecting WEE at the following project sites. So some of the project sites may include in Barangay Longos in Malabon City, Kapulong Street in Tondo, Manila. Some can be found in Camarin Road and Barangay Bagong Silang in Caloocan City. So those are just sample of the treatment facilities, but you can call them the manufacturers or the producers, because they can also handle this kind of treatment. And if not, they will be the one to forward this to the treatment facilities. Okay, so I want also to discuss to you the some of the substances that is included, or that is installed in our appliances, that we don't know, which can pose harm to our health and to our environment. So let's boil down some of the specific substances stipulated in the WEEE for us to know how can we treat this, and how can we um, deal with this kind of substances. Number one are the fluids. And these are typically found in the heating and cooling appliances, such as our refrigerators, freezers, even the air conditioners, or the coolant circuits and oil filled radiators. So I have mentioned with you some of the examples, and all fluids must be taken out of this WEEE under the WEE directives. And before performing the procedure in removing these fluids in our cooling circuits, fluid must be carefully evacuated, and the caution must be exercised to ensure that the tactics employed do not jeopardize the health of the operator. So that's why we need to let the expert handle the removal of these fluids, because we don't know if it it can it can affect the health of the operators. Oil-filled radiators and other similar appliances may be regarded as having been drained of some of the fluids or oil and from the appliances once the treatment is complete. And all recovered oils and liquids from these appliances to be contained separately for disposal. So we need to separate this one, and we need to put some labels. Okay, and there are also restriction, of course, on handling or mixing these hazardous waste. So we shouldn't mix oil from such fluids. The environmental protection or controls for the ozone depleting. We all know for a fact that these cooling circuits do have CFCs, or what we know, the chlorofluorocarbon, or some do have ozone depleting substances, or ODS. There is also a regulation for this, and which specify the treatment procedures to be used for the refrigerators and freezers containing a specific restricted compounds covered by the regulations. Guidance on the recovery and disposal of the banned chemicals found in refrigerators and freezers has also been developed by some of the agencies around the world, or the SEPA, and is updated on the regular basis. And the most recent version should be considered by the operator. So we have the recent versions on how to deal with the ozone depleting substances. Also, included in the cooling circuits, there is also a substance or a compound present in this kind of circuit, which is the ammonia. We all know that ammonia poses a danger in our health. So it has been detected in the refrigerators and freezer, and it must be removed and transferred to an appropriate container before disposal. So ammonia may cause fires and explosion, and it is poisonous to human and may be detrimental to the environment. And to safeguard the human health, of course, workplace safety and the environment, safer practices should be implemented in removing this kind of waste. So it doesn't only include fluids, but also it also includes ammonia and even ozone depleting substances. So our fridge do includes that. That's why we should not dispose that. We should be responsible in handling this kind of products, and we must call the producers if we don't know, if we do not know where to dispose this. So let's always remember that. Next are the capacitors containing polychlorinated biphenyls. So in the electronics industries, they use capacitors, but we don't have to worry because some of the devices that we use do not contain these polychlorinated biphenyls. So let's explain what is these PCBs. The polychlorinated biphenyls, or PCBs, were often employed in the past. Take note, in the past, in electrical machinery, including the capacitors and, of course, the transformers. And in 1972, they were largely outlawed from the usage in open application. So it started in 1972, but the use ended in 1986 because of the harmful effects of these substance. And some of the manufacturers rather, they haven't been employed in the production of the new equipment, and plants that were put in place before 1986 were permitted to operate until the end of their usual lives. Hence, the likelihood that an appliance has capacitor containing PCB is quite unlikely unless it is more than 20 years old. So, if your appliance is more than 20 years old, most likely it contains polychlorinated biphenyls. But if it is younger than 20 years old, then we are safe to that. Okay, and with fluorescent and other discharge luminaries, as well as with fractional horsepower motors other com- of other comparable tasks, with this kind of appliances in home and the lighting industrial electrical equipment, small capacitors included in this kind of equipment were employed. So despite the fact that they were typically date coded, they were not marked as containing PCBs. Usually speaking, for the information of everyone, it must be expected that the PCBs, or the polychlorinated biphenyls, is present in capacitors created in before 1976. But uh, at the end of 1976, starting 1986, electronic industries do not include polychlorinated biphenyls in their construction of appliances. Next, we have the mercury. We know what is the danger that mercury poses in our environment, in our health. So, use in fluorescent lamps, medical equipment, data transmission, telecommunication, and mobile phones. So, we have the gas discharge lights, medical devices, data transfer, telecommunication, and mobile phones, and all the product that uses batteries, even thermostats, the sensors, the position sensors, relays or switches use or contains mercury. And its usage is electrical and electronic equipment has dramatically decreased in the recent years because of the regulation of the use of mercury. So in the recent years, as of July 1, 2006, the ROHS directive, another form of the WE directive, will make it illegal to use. Although certain uses are exempted, the following is a description of the gas discharge lamp treatment processes. And the majority of the mercury containing products nowadays, excluding the batteries, are probably located in the circuit board. Hence, the removing of this of the circuit board containing mercury would also remove the majority of the switches and other components that contain this. And awareness of the potential mercury contamination, the treatment facility should remove any such component and store them in appropriately designated containers. So let the expert handle this kind of chemicals because we are not totally knowledgeable on how to deal with this kind of chemicals. That's why we need the help of the experts. So another substance that is present on our appliances, so commonly found in the printers, fax machine, and photocopiers, we are already immersed what is toner and cartridges and even liquid and paste. Okay. Next, we have the lead and other substances. These are including phosphorus, pentachloride in CRTs or the cathode ray tubes, the lead and other substances hazardous to health, such as the phosphorus pentachloride can be liberated during the processing of the gas of the glass to remove the fluorescent coating. So these are mostly found in the cathode ray tubes on the old design of the television. And I just want to add this one. We have the asbestos. If you don't know what are asbestos, this has been used in older appliances such as the coffee electric pots, the toasters, and the irons. So those which have rather heating elements, and older gadgets such as what I have mentioned use or includes asbestos in their equipment. And several electric heaters and other products that benefit from asbestos ability to withstand heat also had as a component. Modern appliances that we have today are not allowed to contain asbestos, but owners of treatment facilities must be watchful for the items that may contain asbestos. This is actually goods now to have be labeled with A. So if you see a label big A in our heating elements, it means that it contains asbestos. It is a warning. Appliances other than 20 years, like what we discussed in the polychlorinated biphenyls, may contain asbestos and should be inspected. And if asbestos containing components are found, they must be properly handled in accordance with all the applicable health and safety laws. And asbestos handling instructions may before being removed and sent for disposal. So we need to be careful in handling asbestos because it is actually one of the substances that are carcinogenic. Okay, let's proceed with the next one. We also have the components containing refractory ceramic fibers. These are mainly used in furnaces, heaters, kiln linings, and respirable RFCs are classified as too carcinogenic, just like the asbestos. And asbestos actually poses danger especially in our lungs when we inhale this one. Components containing radioactive substances can be found in variety of equipment, mainly in commercial setting. Example are the field level detectors, static eliminators, radium aluminized diodes, all trim phones, as well as the smoke detectors. And these radioactive substances can pose harm, of course, because these are radioactive in to human health, and we need expert to handle this kind of substances. Another, I just want to add this one, the plastic brominated flame retardants. So as I mentioned a while ago, we also have the chlorinated, but this is brominated. In electrical and electronic equipment, brominated flame retardants have been employed primarily in two categories. We have the polybrominated diphenyls, which are used in the cabinets, and the polybrominated biphenyls, which is a different class that has historically been utilized and that are no longer produced nowadays. And one of the danger of this kind of flame retardants, when we burn this kind of chemicals, it contaminates the air that we inhale, and once we inhale this kind of product, we it affects our liver, our organs, and poses danger, of course, to our health. And that's why we need to appropriately remove this kind of polybrominated flame retardants. Most of the brominated flame retardants are also included in plastics. That's why some of the facilities includes detectors of this kind of chemicals. So once they found the plastic contains brominated flame retardants, then they will be treated well. And some of the plastics that do not contain brominated flame retardants are put into recovery facilities. Next, we have the batteries. And we all know that batteries, especially nowadays, especially if you are using appliances that are portable, they do have batteries. And batteries packs occur in many shapes, sizes, and times and ranging. And from small backup batteries on computer motherboards to large batteries in tools, and of course, and gardening equipment. So batteries or battery packs, okay, the location of this battery in equipment may dictate at what point the battery should be removed. So we need to remove the whole battery, and let's avoid to to broke to broke out or to dismantle all the parts of the battery. So we need to remove it as a whole to avoid contamination or to avoid harmful effects of the content of the battery in our health. We should remove the battery intact in such a way that they are clearly recognizable as batteries. And removed batteries should be stored in appropriate label containers having due regard to the potential fire risk that the batteries can present. And although it is relatively easy to remove batteries from most of the appliances, such as our mobile phones and cordless tools, some equipment will contain a small battery on the circuit board, and we need also to check on that. If the circuit board that contains a small battery on board has already been removed, then the removal of the battery will be considered to have taken place. And however, if the circuit boards are also be shredded, then onboard batteries will have to be removed. So some of the treatment facilities need to shred our appliances uh, to easily put it in recovery facilities or the refurbishing facilities. Another are the circuit boards. So for the information of everyone, the circuit boards can be found in any piece of electrical or electronic equipment. Electronic circuit boards or the printed circuit boards are actually the place where the electronic equipment are soldered or put. This is the board type where we can see all the component. And most of the time, when I look at the junk shops, they do not know how to properly dispose this kind of equipment. And we need to educate these people that we need to separate this kind of equipment because it poses harm to environment and to human health. Next, one of other substances also include the cathode ray tubes. If you are not aware what is cathode ray tubes, these are included in the main component actually of the old type television, the tube type television, the one that have a bulky on the back. So this kind of equipment are mainly used in either computer monitors or television, and handling of CRTs can present a danger of implosion. As a consequence, safe system of work will be needed to produce to control the risk to operators, and this would typically include enclosure of the process to prevent flying glass entering the work area, because once you remove this, of course you need to remove the glass, you need to break the glass. And the objective of the removal of the fluorescent coating. So here is the glass, and behind the glass are the fluorescent coating, which is harmful to human health, is to ensure that this does not cause pollution or harm. Two main types of approach could be used to separate the fluorescent coating. Number one, the main approach is to separate the lead containing cones and the glass from before we shred it. And the second one, we have an alternative approach is to shred either the CRT or the TV monitor hull and then mechanically remove the various fraction. So the second options have been done by some of the recovering facilities, but the safer one is the main approach. So we need to remove properly the CRT. So if you don't know, if you want to dispose your television, you need to tell um, the one responsible for getting the television to properly dispose the parts of the television. So we have the circuits. The other one is the cathode ray tubes, and they need to send it to the facility to be shredded and to be treated well. Because the parts of the television that the junk shop just get is the plastic one or the casing. Next is the CFCs. As we have mentioned earlier, these are the ODS or the ozone depleting substances. The gas discharge lamps that poses danger to human health. The LCDs. So most of our cell phones do have LCDs, the liquid crystal display, and are used in variety applications. So when do we know that our cell phone use LCDs, not LEDs? So try to pinch the LCD of your phone, and once there is a what do you call this one? The refraction of colors, it means that that is an LCD. And LCD or liquid crystal displays are used in a wide variety of application. And liquid crystal display are embedded between thin layers of glass and electrical control elements. A cellular phone display can contain amount of zero point 0.5 milligrams of liquid crystals. A notebook display about zero point 0.5 to uh, bigger type or bigger, what do you mean by this, grams of larger grams of liquid crystals. Using computer monitors, of course, are larger than 100 square centimeters and are also backlighted with glass discharge lamps. These will need to be removed, and the backlights will then need to be separated from the LCDs. Remove gas discharge backlights and LCD should be stored separately in appropriate label containers. So we also need to separate this one and label it as liquid crystal displays. Also, one of the most common electrical equipment or tools or devices that we typically do not know that we discharge it inappropriately is the electrical cables, the cables of our chargers. So we need these cables can be removed separately, either before or after the manual or mechanical breaking of WEEE. They may also be removed as a part of the shadow residue because it doesn't contain uh, harmful element except for the rubber and the iron, of course. So some of the manufacturing I've seen Huawei sometimes. I am not commercializing Huawei or advertising Huawei because I've experienced that they created a booth in a certain mall, and then uh, it says there that put your not functioning, malfunctioning um, charger cords, and then they will weigh that, and they will pay you, or they will you will trade it to certain what do we call this one? Certain Huawei products. So of course, I think most of them are chargers and power banks and so on, depending on the weight of the electrical cables. Next are the ceramic fibers, of course, refractory ceramic fibers or the RFCs that, as we know, are mainly used in the furnaces, the heater, and the kiln linings. So these are very carcinogenic. Electrolyte capacitor or electrolytic capacitors. These size are typically small, and sometimes it is larger than um, what they call this one, bubble gums. And these are also harmful to our environment, and many more. A lot of um, substances are present also our in our appliances. So, how do we deal with this kind of substances? There are treatment facilities all around our country which handle this kind of waste and electronic and electrical equipment. So that's why I am encouraging each and everyone to have at least a contact of these manufacturers, or when you buy products, you need to read the manual, because at the back of the manual you can see there on how to properly dispose if the product is already not functioning anymore. So I want to discuss to you on how these kind of waste are treated in the treatment facilities. So the treatment facilities of WEEE is actually done on the following. Of course, there is a health and safety consideration. In the Article 6 of the WEE directive, it requires that the member states encourage establishment or undertaking which carry out treatment operation to introduce certified environmental management system, or the treatment facilities, adopting a robust environmental management system that can help organization identify and manage their environmental impact as well as the compliance with the legislation. When it comes to health and safety consideration, the treatment of WEEE will involve the removal of substances and components, some of which could be hazardous to operatives or those people who conduct the operation. And the operator must fully consider the health and safety issues associated with the treatment of WEEE. So the organization shall impose training to these operatives. Safe systems of work should be devised to ensure, so far as reasonably practicable, the health and safety of workers. Duty holders should ensure that control of risk is achieved by implementing controls that prevent exposure, and were not reasonably practicable, then successive measures lower down the hierarchy of control should be used. So we need to make it certain, or we need to ensure first the health and safety of those people who will handle the treatment before, of course, we prioritize the facilities, because the training will be important, and the proper handling of these substances will also be important in the treatment facilities. Next is the facilities. So for the storage of facilities or the treatment facilities, impermeable surface for appropriate areas with appropriate spillage collection facilities, and where appropriate, decanters or degreasers will be put. Weatherproof covering will be needed for appropriate areas. Impermeable surfaces for this spillage collection. Appropriate storage for disassembled spare parts. So we should put a necessary area for that. Appropriate containers for storage of batteries, the capacitors containing PCBs, the PCTs, and other hazardous waste such as radioactive waste should be put into an area where only experts could go, equipment for treatment of water, including rainwater, and the balances for measuring the weight of the treated waste. So there should always be an area for that. So what is the importance of waterproofing? The purpose of waterproofing covering for storage or treatment sites is to minimize the contamination of the clean surface and rainwaters, to facilitate the reuse of those whole appliances and components intended for reuse, and assist in the containment of hazardous materials and fluids. And the areas that are likely to require weatherproof or waterproofing will therefore include those storing and treating hazardous chemicals, and will depend on the type of quantities of waste and the storage and treatment activities undertaken. So we need the waterproofing. What are the impermeable surfaces? So the WEEE directives requires the provision of impermeable surfaces of appropriate areas, and the companies or the treatment facilities should ensure that these areas are uh, actually handled by experts. Equipment for treatment of water, so we should also include that in the facilities, and also the disassembled the storage for other components and the residues. So the treatment side must also provide appropriate storage for the disassembled spare parts, because some of these spare parts will be used for the recovery facilities, and some are used in the refurbishing. Okay, next is the component, the repair and refurbishment. Some treatment sites may wish to operate under the exemption of for repair and refurbishment, and such sites will take in pre-elected or selected WEE and seek to repair some of these, and some will be refurbished as much as of that WEE as a possible to do the highest possible volume of electrical and electronic equipment. If they found it, the equipment is still good, then they need to repair it. Okay, to lessen the waste on electrical and electronic equipment. And also, some of these will be refurbished. Of course, data collection will be needed also. Operators of treatment facilities need to be aware that there will be a data reporting requirement placed on them. So they will need to report to the Environmental Management Bureau to check the regulation of these waste and electronic and electrical equipment. So that is how we treat the WEEE. It is not the thing or the thought that we have that once the appliances is not already functioning, so we need to what we should do is to stock this one and then sell it to the junk shop. No, what we need to do is to properly treat this kind of waste. We need to call on the producers or the treatment facilities to pick up this kind of hazardous substance or hazardous equipment so that they will be treated well. And we can lessen the danger or the hazard that it poses to environment and to human health. So what is the bottom line of learning the WEEE in the technical education? So let us always remember that WEEE directives want us to know that each of us who owns electronic equipment must also be responsible in handling our appliances. And once these appliances meets their dead ends, we must also practice segregation, wherein uh, we are already trained to segregate um, degradable, non-biodegradable, those things which can be recycled, and we should also put an area where we can put this waste electronic and electrical equipment. Most of the time, our chargers do not work and we don't know how to properly dispose it. We must dispose it on the e-waste. Okay, and some of the parts of our television, some of the remote controls must also be put on the e-waste. Next, we must make reading the manuals of the appliances that we buy a hobby, because sometimes we fail to visit these manuals because of our excitement to unbox our new appliances. we failed to read these manuals, and we need to check the manuals if how are we going to use these products, as well as how we are going to dispose these products once it meets at its dead end. And also, we need to be knowledgeable on what or where to contact the treatment facilities for the WEEE waste, or the waste on electrical and electronic equipment. And I hope you learned a lot from my discussion this afternoon. And let us help one another in encouraging all the people around the world, or our friends, our neighborhood, to properly dispose the electrical and electronic equipment. So we need to protect our environment, and we need to protect ourselves from the danger that it poses to us. And once again, good afternoon to each and everyone. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you so much, IGP, for giving me the opportunity to speak in a wider audience in this kind of platform. Thank you very much, and mabuhay.
Thank you so much, sir, for your rich content presentation, which can impact our knowledge seekers surely max. Sir, after your presentation, I hope our knowledge seekers can learn something new with our only intention. Learn and grow together, IHP knowledge seekers, sir.
Thank you then.
Once again, thank you so much, dear sir, for your presentation. Now, sir, it's
Thank
time
you.
for the question and answer, which is the more valuable part of our regular webinar. Honorable sir, please stay with us. After a short video, we will be come back in our session, which is the question and answer part.
Thank
Dear
you.
IHB knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After question and answer, webinar certification and online quiz competition. Thank you. Sir,
Thank you.
please stay with us.
Yes.
A short video will make. Welcome back, sir. IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box. IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box. The speaker is waiting for your comment. IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box. Sir, sir, I hope
Yes.
you covered full topic properly.
Yes.
So, sir, here is no more question.
No more questions. I hope they understand my topic because it is very important, especially on how to properly dispose the waste and electrical and electronic equipments. And thank you very much, IGP, because I found this platform very helpful for my advocacy. Thank you very much.
Once again, thank you so much, Honorable Sir, for your
Thank
time
you.
in IGP. We have learned a lot from you with new topic. It will add some value to our daily activity along with our academic and professional growth. Honorable Sir, hope to you see again with a new topic and a new date. Thank you, sir. Take
Thank
care.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Honorable sir, before we move to the next webinar certification process, if you want to leave this studio, you can, sir. IGP knowledge seekers, it's time for the webinar certification process, the most attractive and powerful webinar. After a short video, we will start our webinar certification. After webinar certifications, we have an online quiz competition and quiz certifications. IGP knowledge for the webinar certification process, the most attractive and powerful part of our regular webinar. After a short video, we will start our webinar certification process. After webinar certification, quiz competition and quiz certification process. Please stay with us. After a short video, we will come back. Today's our some technical problems. We cannot share our certificate code. We provide our certificate code in a short time. Thank you. Today's our some technical problems. We cannot share. We provide our certificate code in a short time. Thank you. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, it's time for the most of these webinars, which is an online quiz competition, which is our regular webinar activity. Now, time for the online quiz competition. To join the online quiz competition properly, please follow my instruction carefully. To join the online quiz competition properly, please follow my instruction carefully. First of all, you have to go www.slido.com, then find today's quiz or scan this for direct joining, and the code is global IGP. Quiz code is global IGP. After a short video, we will be come back. Enjoy quiz. IGP knowledge seekers, please join in Slido with code and the code IGP. IGP knowledge seekers, please join in Slido with code and the code is global IGP. Already 16 people joined with us for direct joining. IGP knowledge seekers, please join in Slido with code and the code is global IGP. IGP knowledge seekers, please join in Slido with code and the code is global IGP. First of all, you have to go www.slido.com, then find today's quiz or scan this QR code for direct joining. And the quiz code is global IGP. And the quiz code is global IGP. Already 23% 23 people joined with us for this session. IGP non-seekers, please join in Slido with code and the code is global IGP. Let's start. First question is WE means waste electrical and electronic equipment, and second option is wasting electric energy on Europe. First option is the right answer, and 100% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our second long question is space junk. It is covered by WE of Pro dis- mm, directives. First option is WE only, and second option is not yet covered by any directives. Not yet covered by any directive is the right answer, and 48% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our third known question is who has most likely a weak responsibility, manufacture and import. Import is the right answer, and only 4% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our fourth known question is what does the we man represent? First option is just some art made out of waste, and second option is waste in kg for 1% over a lifetime. Second option is the right answer, and 8% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our fifth long question is what we needs enforcement the most. First option is electrical drill, and second option is CRT monitor. CRT monitor is the right answer, and 56% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our sixth long question is CE in Lodis Rose and Uis. It is yes and no. Yes or no. No is the right answer, and 12% people are right only. Moving to the next question, and our seventh long question is battery directives are part of CE. Is it true or false? Is it true or false? False is the right answer, and 36% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our eighth long question is which of the EPR directorate is the oldest one? Packagings and batteries. Against is the right answer, and 32% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our ninth long question is: we is related to end of life of a product. Is it true or false? Two is the right answer, and 88% people are right. Moving to the next question, and our 10th long and final question in this session is: laser device come under ROS directives. Is it true or false? Two is the right answer, and 76% people are right. Congratulations, top 10 winner. Congratulations to our webinar online quiz competition winners top 10. Congratulations again. Slide will take a few minutes for finalizing the result, and after that we will issue our online quiz competition certificate on our official Facebook page and groups. Institute of Global Professionals. Congratulations to our webinar online quiz competition winners top 10. Congratulations again. Slide will take a few minutes for finalizing the result, and after that we will issue our online quiz competition certificate on our official Facebook page and groups. Institute of Global Professionals. At the end moment of our session, we can say properly feed your skills. Never stop learning cause life never stop teaching us. Be happy and stay safe. See you again and again. We want your participation in every program. If you want to live a happy life, tie it to a goal, not to people or things. Albert Einstein. Before I say or hit the end live button, again wants to thanks to all IHP knowledge seekers for your active participations as always. See you in the next session. Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us till the and staying with us till the end.